Turning back to politics and the decision to not support Donald Trump for president that has left some Americans feeling alienated by their churches. New York Times opinion columnist David French has a new piece out entitled "The Day My Old Church Canceled Me Was a Very Sad Day." And in it he writes this: "This week, the leaders of the Presbyterian Church in America will gather in Richmond, Virginia for their annual General Assembly. The Presbyterian Church in America is a small, theologically conservative Christian denomination that was my family's church home for more than 15 years. It just canceled me. I am now deemed too divisive to speak to a gathering of Christians who share my faith." Two things happened that changed our lives, however, and in hindsight, they're related. First, in 2010, we adopted a 2-year-old girl from Ethiopia. Second, in 2015, Donald Trump announced his presidential campaign. I was a senior writer for National Review at the time, and when I wrote pieces critical of Trump, members of the alt-right pounced, and they attacked us through our daughter. We turned to our church for support and comfort. Our pastors and close friends came to our aid, but support was hardly universal. The church as a whole did not respond the way it did when I deployed. Instead, we began encountering racism and hatred up close from people in our church and in our church school. And David French joins us now, along with the president of the National Action Network and host of MSNBC's Politics Nation, Reverend Al Sharpton. David, your church, what are the values it's based on? Can we refresh our memory?
Yeah. I tell you what, I've never seen anything like it. I've seen political divisions in church where, there are Republicans and Democrats, and I had spent, much of my life worshiping alongside Democrats. And when I came out against Donald Trump all the way back in 2015, I knew there would be some disagreement. I did not expect anything like we encountered. Now, look, our pastors, our close friends, they were not tolerating any of that racism or political intolerance. But it became part of the constant drumbeat of our lives. You could not any longer go to church and assume you weren't going to be confronted by someone angry. And then my daughter encountering and my kids encountering this incredible up close and personal racism at the school attached to our church, it just became incredibly difficult to sustain living in that environment. Again, there were many people who were great, but this combination of the devotion to Trump combined with the unearthing of a lot of the racism that was already in the denomination but had been given new life in this moment made it just unsustainable to stay. And then, we saw the denomination invite me back to speak to share how we responded to some of these really, really polarized moments. And then the far right attacked, and within days I was canceled.
I'm just taking a moment to take that in because it's so deeply, deeply depressing. And Reverend Al Sharpton, I think this is a perfect conversation for you and David. Maybe you're on very different sides of the political spectrum on some issues. But here, I think we all can agree that the church is kind of the sacred place to put aside all differences and to celebrate humanity.
No, I think the church must do that. And I think the church is also a place where we can have grown folks debate on the issues we disagree with in the right setting, certainly not in worship service where we should all come together, but in certain settings. And though David and I may disagree politically, when I read his article, and I did, it made me also think about the history where you have churches that supported segregation and supported slavery. But then you had churches that were on the front lines of the civil rights movement. And even in the black church, I've had to fight with ministers I've known since I was a boy preacher when I came out for LGBTQ rights. So it goes on both sides. But David, the question that I had when I read your article, do you think it's that there are some that have joined this cult-like following around Donald Trump, that religion gets mixed up with what is cult, and that they really don't see the difference? They brought into this cult the feeling that they are righteous and doing what is God's will, when it's in fact a cult that has very little to do with biblical grounding or morality.
Well, there's two things happening at once. On the one hand, you have a bunch of people in the church who literally believe that God chose Trump for this moment to save America. They will say he's God's very unlikely vessel for saving America. So if you're opposing Trump, you're opposing the chosen one. And then the other thing that happens is they exaggerate all of the darkness of the other side. So what they then say is, look, Trump is the chosen one, and then the other side, the Democrats, are just pure evil. And so you even have in many churches a bunch of people who will say, you just cannot be Christian and Democratic. You can't be Christian and a Democrat at the same time. It's just not possible. And so that exerts an incredibly powerful pressure on people in the church, because there's Donald Trump, the chosen one, against this other side that's allegedly so bad you can't even be Christian and support it. And so you begin to see the social pressure that is put on people to conform, and why when somebody dissents and they say, no, I don't agree that a three-time married adulterous guy who was just convicted of crimes related to paying hush money to a porn star is God's chosen one to save America. When you don't agree with that, you're actually seen as an enemy of God. You're seen as an enemy of the United States at the same time. And that social pressure is just extraordinary.
You know, well, for whatever it's worth, when you look at the evidence that was put out for Donald Trump's criminal hush money trial, the evidence is very clear. A jury of his peers, 12 jurors, alternates, convicted him of the felony counts, fraudulent business records, and the witness who testified made it very clear that she was there at the time that the alleged event happened. All of those things are pretty much backed up by evidence. And I think the problem when you look at Christianity and you look at what people look for when they go to church as church-going faithful is not what did he do, what did she do? It's, are you remorseful? Do you ask for God's forgiveness? The thing about Donald Trump, David French, is that he has no remorse. He does not need forgiveness. He probably will go to his sentencing, and when he's asked to speak, he will not show remorse. He doesn't have any. That's what's missing from this human being in every facet of his life. It's not that anyone else is better than him. It's that he does not know how to show remorse and ask for forgiveness. It's beyond me. I've never met anybody like this.
Well, you know, what's incredibly sad, all of that you said, Mika, is absolutely true. But what's even sadder is that Trump, who has this giant Christian base, this giant, a giant segment of the American church is backing him, and he has no power unless they back him. You know, what's particularly sad is you're talking about how this whole concept of repentance, that is so fundamental to the Christian faith. It's absolutely fundamental. So fundamental. But they still think he's the chosen one, even though, let's just go through some of the recent lists from the last year. He's been found responsible for sexual abuse. He's been found liable for defaming a victim of sexual abuse. He's been found responsible for hundreds of millions of dollars worth of fraud. He's been convicted of a crime that, even though I think there are some weaknesses in the legal side of the case, the factual side, the facts, it's overwhelming that he did what he was accused of doing. And he's unrepentant about all of it. And if anything, the evangelical church is more a pillar of his power now than it was even a few years ago. He won the Republican primary on the strength of overwhelming evangelical support. And this is something, again, the social pressure is huge. He's God's chosen one. He's God's chosen one. It's relentless, this sort of argument. And if you dissent, yeah, there will be people in the church who still love you and support you and respect you, but there will be people who come after you.
The new piece online now for the New York Times, columnist David French. Thank you very much for sharing that with us, and thanks for coming on this morning.
Thank you.
We appreciate it. And coming up next, AI.